Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We've got an Innocenti in the workshop here today. This one's a nice blue and white combo. I've always liked these Italian cars, always loved the dashes. It's always fun seeing a non-UK market car in for some servicing. So this one's come in, it's got running problems, struggles to start, has bad fuel economy, lacking acceleration and power. So under the bonnet, let's take a look. We've got a set of twin HS2s. This is a 9-on-8 motor, and I'll have to start with ignition circuit first, and then we'll go on to checking the carbs. But I'll get those plugs out and have a look, see what's going on there. Don't mind the wooden prop rod, the actual metal one on this hood is missing. So let's dig in and see what we find. So let's start with the ignition system, and I've got the wires disconnected on the coil here so that we can do two things. One of which is we can measure the resistance of the coil, and then we can also measure the voltage coming to the coil itself. So I'm going to start with the resistance check. So the meter reads about 0.1, maybe 0.2. And this coil, if we connect the terminals here, we've got a coil that reads 4.2. So right away we can see that there's too much resistance on this coil. This should be a 3 ohm system. I'll have to see what the module is in this distributor. It's got the wiring for what I think is a Petronix module, so I think that's a 3 ohm system. But either way, 4.4 is way too high. Even 4.0 is still too much. So I'm going to switch this coil for a 3 ohm coil. Now what I need to do is check the voltage coming in on this this purple wire here, make sure it's 12 volts. So the battery voltage, if we go down here to the solenoid, we've got the main battery line coming in here. If we check the voltage, it's 12.24 volts. So we'll see what we're getting at the coil wire here. So I've already turned on the ignition key, so go ahead and check the voltage here. 12.15. Okay, that's pretty good. So we got the right voltage coming through the ignition key circuit. We've got the wrong coil. Now let's go ahead and check these wires, see what the resistance is of these wires. And then while I've got the wires off, I'll go ahead and pull the plugs out and check the spark plugs. See what they look like, check their gaps and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and check the vacuum module here, make sure it's holding a vacuum. So I'm just going to apply vacuum to the vacuum line. We'll watch the breaker plate move. If I apply vacuum and the breaker plate stays put, that means the vacuum module is good. If I apply vacuum and the vacuum breaker plate lifts and then falls back, that means the vacuum module is bad. So let's go ahead and test this one. Well, looks like the module is bad because it lifts and then it falls back down. So this module, at a minimum, will need to be replaced. So moving on from the coil, I've left it hooked up temporarily because I want to run the engine and check the ignition curve. If the ignition curve on this car is really bad, then we're going to need to do a new distributor, in which case I'll need to change the coil anyway. So for now, we'll leave it, and we'll go ahead and check the wire resistance. Now I've gone ahead and removed the distributor cap. It looks like a fairly fresh cap. There is quite a bit of debris in here, and there is a lot of pitting on these terminals. But let's go ahead and check. This is the king lead off of the coil. So I've got the multimeter set to resistance. Oh, interesting. So this wire set is a low resistance wire set. This is a 400 ohm wire. So my guess is that they don't actually have enough ignition resistance in this system to run effectively or efficiently, because I don't think these spark plugs are resistive spark plugs. But I'm going to go ahead and remove cylinder number one's spark plug lead, check the resistance on that, and then I'll go ahead and pull out these spark plugs. So here's the number one spark plug lead, and as you can see, it's another 400 ohm wire. So he has a total of 800 ohms worth of ignition wire resistance and I think these are non-resistive plugs. So yeah, this is a situation where there just is not enough ignition resistance in the wires to have an effective spark at the plugs. Yes, it'll work, but it'd be better if there was 1.5 to say 3,000 ohms total using non-resistive plugs. If we were to keep this set of wires, I'd have to put a set of resistor plugs in here, and I don't want to do that. So I suspect I'll be changing out the wires as well. Another thing I noticed is that these wires have a they're kind of holding their shape. So these have definitely been on here long enough to start aging. So another reason why I may replace these wires. But let's get these plugs out and have a look and see what they look like. So here we go. Here are the spark plugs. So there are 1s on the right, 4s on the left. The front plugs actually don't look too bad. They got some decent looking coloring. The burn line looks decent. But as we move along down the line, they get darker and darker. So that tells me that either the front carburetor is running leaner than the rear, or the rear is running richer, or there's an air leak on the front and not on the rear. So I'll have to address any potential air leakages before I try and tune this car. I also noticed that the gap on this thing is huge. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this set of spark plugs with a set of BP5 NGK spark plugs gapped at 25 thousandths. So I've gone ahead and replaced the spark plugs here, BP5 ES plugs gapped to 25 thousandths for now. I went ahead and measured the gap on these old plugs. They were at 47 thousandths of an inch, so way too much gap. Also, while I had the plugs out, I looked down the block bore to look at the pistons, and I noticed these are D-top pistons. So this engine is actually a 998 Cooper spec engine. So the twin carbs, all this stuff is correct for this this build here, which is really exciting. So new plugs, new wires. I haven't changed the coil yet because what I want to do is I want to run the engine and I'm going to check the advance curve, make sure that it's actually giving me the correct total advance I want, as well as the 2000 RPM point. So I'm going to go do that now, hook up the Innova, check timing. If this distributor gives me good timing numbers, then I will go ahead and replace the bad vacuum module. If the numbers in here are really bad, then I'm going to go ahead and go for a distributor replacement, at which point I'll go ahead and change the coil as well. Now, if I do have to do a distributor replacement, I will go ahead and use one of my PowerSpark recurved high energy units, which will mean I'll need a 0.8 ohm coil. I'll also need to go back in here and do regap these plugs to 35 thou. But for now, I'll just get started, check the curve, and we'll go from there. So I've just had the car running, and I went and checked the timing with the Innova timing light. And these are the figures I'm getting. 28 degrees at idle, 30 at 2K, 34 at 3, 36 at 4. This is a pretty flat curve. I would have preferred to have seen maybe 10 or 11 at idle, 20 at 2, and 30 to 32 at 4,000 RPMs. So I can't just dial back the timing. So if I reduce the 36 to say down to 30, this would only bring this down to 26, and this would only bring the idle down to 22. So this is a very flat curve. This means that I do need to change the distributor for a more suitable curve, which means I'm going to be changing out that ignition coil, and I'm going to be regapping those plugs, because the new PowerSpark units that I have that I've recurved use a high energy coil of 0.8 ohms, and because they're a high energy system, I can actually open those plug gaps up a little bit. So now that I've got the engine running, I'm going to go ahead and do a voltage check at the coil, make sure I'm getting full battery voltage with it running. So about 12 volts, which is good. That means that the ignition feed is a straight 12 volt feed. However, I would have preferred to see somewhere in the 13 volts, because the alternator is probably putting out 13 volts, but we're only getting about 11 3/4 here at the coil, so there is resistance in the ignition circuit. So the engine's running, and I'm doing some vacuum leak checking, and just listen as I spray around on the vacuum hoses here. Vacuum leak there. Vacuum leaks there. Vacuum leaks there. So just to clarify, I got vacuum leaks on the servo line, I've got vacuum leaks on the spacer and the throttle shafts, and I got vacuum leaks on the same spacer mounting location on both front and rear carburetor. So plenty of vacuum leaks to have to deal with. I suspect the set of carbs is going to have to come off to get fixed. I've also noticed that the rear jet sticks when you operate the choke. So I'll try to get a shot of that here in a second. So what we're looking at here is the rear carburetor, and this part of the linkage here is what operates the jet. Now if I push it down a little bit, it should just retract by itself, but it doesn't. And that's because the linkage in the jet is bound up slightly. So this rear carburetor has a jet problem. The front carburetor actually operates smoothly, so it seems to be just this rear one, but I'll have to investigate the front one as well. But either way, I'm going to have to take these carbs off and investigate what's going on, because this is clearly a running problem. So now that we've figured out what's going on with the ignition, and we've found out we've got air leakage issues, I also want to point out some other strange things that are going on here. So we've got some really interesting configuration of fuel pipes that are not correct at all. I noticed that this damper didn't have any oil in it at all, so that's not great. As I mentioned earlier, the choke cable on this carb, at least, it has a tendency to stick, so I'll have to deal with that. Yeah, just kind of people working on it who may not have known how these are supposed to work. So I'm going to go ahead and correct all this fuel piping back to the way the factory had it. But like I said earlier, I'm probably going to have to take at least this carburetor off and have a look at the linkage. More than likely, I'll probably take them both off and investigate, make sure they're working smoothly, check the throttle bushes, etc. So before I go taking all this apart, I am going to run it, and I'm going to check the fueling curve with my analyzer there. We'll see what the fueling is like, and then I want to take you in because I see a lot of other little things that are wrong with these twin carbs. So I just want to point them out before I go through the trouble of taking this carburetor off so you guys can see what I'm talking about. The rear carburetor opens first on the butterfly. The jet is sticking. As I mentioned earlier, there was throttle shaft wear, air leaks, etc. But these are common problems you run into cars, especially when they've been worked on by people who don't understand how to make these twin carbs work as if they're one carburetor, essentially. So let me get this started. We'll check the fueling, and then I'll get you into the carburetors in a minute. So I've got the car idling right now, and as you can see here, it's running 0.8 at idle. Sounds terrible. So I'll just bring it through the rev range and we can see what the feeling is like. Not great. Also, you'll notice that it's now running leaner than it was just a second ago. So we have some variation in the carburetors. So the car is kind of idling right now, but what I want to do is I'm going to rev it up 2, 3, 4,000 RPMs, and then we'll watch the fueling. So hopefully you guys caught that. The first time I revved this engine, we were in the 0.85 at about 4,000 RPMs. When I took the air cleaners off, we were in the mid 9s. So those air filters and the housing itself is restricting the airflow to these carburetors, because as soon as I took the air filter housing off, we got a lot more airflow through these carbs, which is what leaned out our mixture. So more likely, this is going to need a set of free-flowing air filter housings fitted. But overall, the mixture profile isn't too bad, but we're going to work on that once we get all the air leakage and whatnot sorted out in these carbs, because this is definitely not a very happy setup right now.